I just appreciate everybody watching.
Watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
What's going on, y'all? This is Henny Maul, Hendog Maul, Coach Maul, all that good stuff, man. Your host of the Trap or Die podcast, and you know what time it is. We have another great episode, another great interview, another great conversation, this time with Maia Chaka. And if you do not know who Maia Chaka is, she is the first African-American female NFL referee. The second female referee that's full time in the NFL. So this conversation was incredible because first and foremost, it's always important to, and it's something that we've been lacking on, admittedly. So and I've been lacking on, but I've been trying. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but I've been trying, man, and trying to get some female perspective and some women perspective on here, and have their voices heard on the Trap or Die platform. Not saying we're huge yet, but in that same vein, you know, our audience appreciates that, and I know they will. And Maia is one of those great individuals, and I loved having this conversation with her to kind of understand her perspective, her background, you know, what even got her into being a NFL official full time, and all the trials and tribulations that she kind of went through growing up. It was an amazing conversation, and I can't wait to really, you know, talk about it. I can't wait to, or let y'all hear it, right? It was an amazing conversation. I will make an amendment now because it's very important that you all understand this. And I felt bad. After I didn't really articulate myself well enough. So I want to give this heads up in the introduction versus you all hear it and feel the same way, even if it doesn't bother or stand out to you all. But, you know, I kind of asked her in a sense, or kind of made a comment that, you know, when I was growing up, you know, I didn't run into a lot of women or girls because I was younger. I didn't run into a lot of girls who played sports and stuff like that. And it kind of, when I seen them, it kind of, you know, threw my eyes got big and threw me off. But I didn't mean it that way. I actually meant in a literal sense growing up, like Boys and Girls Club type of thing. Not like my teenage years and stuff like that, but growing up as a Boys and Girls Club, seeing like kids and stuff like that actually be on the same team as me or and other things. So like having that type of visuals was rare to me growing up. But in the end, great conversation. She didn't really take it no way. I just felt weird when I said it. I was like, I didn't mean it that way, but it came out a certain way that I really didn't like. So that's the only amendment I got to make. Outside of that, enjoy this conversation with Maia Chaka. As you all will hear this, she is getting ready for her second full season as an NFL ref. She was great. She actually broke down, you know, what it would take to even become a ref if you wanted to get into that type of lane and you're trying to find a lane into the professional sports world. So with that being said, no further ado, Maia Chaka on the Trap or Die podcast. Let's go. So right now we got Maia Chaka checking in with us. Maia, first off, I appreciate you joining me. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So for those who don't know, September 12th, 2021 was a major moment. It was a major moment for you and the history of the NFL when you became the first Black woman to officiate an NFL game. Let's talk about that moment for you. First off, what was the things that was going through your head? What did it mean to make history in the NFL like this?
The first thing that was really going in my head is, you know, if I mess up or I have any kind of mistake in this game today, it's going to be all over the internet. And I just didn't want to be somebody's meme. So that's the main difference from officiating in the National Football League and then working in major college and working in high school football. Everybody's watching somewhere in their home market, and I was working in Carolina, and that's real close to the East Coast where I'm at, so I know that game was airing, back home. And the NFL, they put a tweet out right before my game, which is, it's like very rare for them to do that. It's to advertise an official's game. And so like now even more people were trying to tune in and we're trying to find the game. And so with me, I was just really trying to balance and center myself, and I had to treat it like it was any other game. I didn't treat it like it was my first game, like it was a special game, because I didn't want to do anything out of my routine or out of what I do to keep myself centered. So I had to talk myself down off that moment, and really downplay it in order for me to get through that game.
And I think one of the it's crazy because like you're saying it, and I think it's a larger point in that instance, like the anxiety part or the moments like leading up to something that's significant. The days before, like you said, you're preparing like it's any other game. What are those type of preparations? And like I do want to circle back to this at towards the latter end, but just right now, like what was the preparation going like for your first game? What was that routine? Did you talk to anybody? Did you have conversations with family members? Have conversations with mentors? Anything like that? What was those conversations or just thought process trying to help
Wow.
ease your anxiety?
So believe it or not, before I worked, well, when I first got hired into the NFL, one of the first people that I actually talked to was Violet Palmer, who was the first Black woman to officiate in the NBA. And she did that back in, like, was it 1996 or something, or 98? It was something, mid 90s. And, just being able to talk to her and hear her story and understanding that we had so many parallels, even though I'm breaking a barrier decades later than what she's already broken, our stories were still so similar. And just to know that times really haven't changed that much, and I was really able to lean on her for advice in terms of how to be myself and how to dominate the space, and how to work it. And I think just hearing her words was very comforting, and that's what helped me prepare for the season. And leading up to the game, I spent training camp with my crew. We were in training camp for like an entire month. And so that's what helped me prepare. And I treated every training camp and every preseason game like it was a regular game. I didn't approach it like it was camp. I didn't, half-ass it. I went all out and did everything like it was a game. And so when game time hit, really what I did to eliminate distractions, I had to turn my phone off, which is something I normally don't do. I had that on airplane mode. I had one person traveling with me. I had my publicist travel with me because, not only is she working for me, but she's also been just like a really good friend, a really good person to have in my corner. And she, intercepts all that noise, that's coming my way. And so she does everything in her power to make sure that I'm always like at baseline, which is something that you need in any profession. When you're trying to be successful, you always need that person who's going to help you calm that storm. And so just doing that, like I said, limited distractions, disconnecting, that's what helped me really balance and be able to peak perform.
So with that being said, before we get back to the league itself, I have to talk about your origins, Maya. Where the love of the game all started. I understand that you did grow up in New York, man. You grew up in Rochester, New York. I have only been in New York for all of 4 seconds, so I know nothing about Rochester. I know nothing much about New York except for the Bronx when I was there for a flight delay. Let's talk about what what happened in the moments in which you were a child that developed your love for sports, or did you always love sports as long as you could remember?
That's as long as I can remember, I've always loved it. And I don't think that was something that developed. I think I'm the middle child. I have an older sister, I have a younger brother. And so my older sister was always like a girly girl. And I was never a kid that wanted to follow anybody or be like anybody. I can always just remember wanting to have my own. And because she was so into these dolls and things like that, I almost didn't want to be into the same thing that she was into. And, in my neighborhood growing up, most of the people who were my age were boys. And so I would just go outside and play with them. and they were playing sports. And to me, that was a lot, that was more fun than sitting in the house dressing up baby dolls. I have my share of baby dolls, but, I like to run around, kickball, football, whatever it was, freeze tag, manhunt, everything that kids played like back in the day. I was a get out the house, go outside, play type of kid. And my parents encouraged it, and which is really, I was really fortunate to have that. Because a lot of
Mhm.
people don't know, like Rochester, New York. Rochester is like the most violent city in New York State. Like
Uh,
people don't understand that. When we talk about per capita, yeah, it's a lot smaller than the actual city itself, but we they have a lot of violent crimes. And I grew up in the
mhm.
inner city, so for me to be able to go outside and play in my yard, just in front, and have people keep an eye on you, you grow up with that mentality. It takes a village to raise a child. And so, like, not only did my parents have eyes on me, the neighbors had eyes on you, or we go to the Boys and Girls Club and they had eyes on us. So that was real important for us to be able to develop and socialize.
From a competitive standpoint, um, just understanding now the dynamic of your neighborhood is really impressive, and really good. But the competitive standpoint, like how big of a competitor were you? Because like for me, when I was growing up, I and this is me speaking transparently, like there were probably like a handful, but there were some number of girls that we played with, like on the boys and girls team and football. But I never knew like they were women. Like they were competitive. They were hitting. They were running with us. All these things like that. But when we were younger, in the sense in our head, like it was hard for us to compute just transparently, like, oh, we're playing with girls, because we don't necessarily see that all the time. But and the question to you is more so like the competitive standpoint, like what drove you? Like, did you have that space already, like that shared space from the boys side, that you had their respect, or did you have to go out there and get it, and like, look, I can compete with you all, y'all on the same level with me, or if I'm even better than you all.
I mean, I was always first pick, first or second pick,
There you
for
go. That's what I like to
whatever sport that
hear.
we played.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like the natural physical dominance. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't say I had to prove myself, but just like any kid in the hood, like, or any kid like in the neighborhood, when you go out and play, everybody's out there trying to prove themselves. It's not me trying
Yeah.
to prove it. Everybody's proving themselves. Everybody's trash talking. And, this wasn't a place where you can actually just talk that talk. You had to really
Back it
walk it
up.
first before you can talk it.
Hmm.
And it was like I was always the one that went out there, oh, throw her the ball. What's she gonna do? I go out there and catch it with one hand, or like moss over somebody, right? Throw like a
Yes.
bomb, or like outrun people like in a foot race. Like that's just how it is, like growing up. And then when they, you get bragging rights. Now I'm the girl from this neighborhood. I'm with these boys. But then the
Hmm.
beauty of it also was, now when I go to the Boys and Girls Club, which was like about 2.5 blocks away from my home, there are girls that were in other neighborhoods, not necessarily the neighborhood I grew up in, that were just like me, and they were in the Boys and Girls Club. And like our Boys and Girls Club was ran by like athletic girls, and like we were just known for producing that. And that was actually encouraged there.
Absolutely. So when as you move forward, towards your next phase of life, college and things like that, I understand that you did take a hobby, and you kind of briefly mentioned it in terms of teaching. Um, was that like a hobby that was always like that top three type of thing for you, or how did you develop the other activities that was taking focus in your life?
For me, how did I become started teaching?
Yeah.
Teaching was actually my career, and officiating was my hobby. It just it
Oh,
just
the
seems to
inverse.
happen
Okay,
now.
cool,
Now,
cool.
yeah, now it's flipped. So I went to college, to be
Uh,
a teacher, to be an educator, and I wanted to teach like health and phys ed. That's what I wanted to teach. I didn't want to teach math or English, because I'm an athlete. And I wanted to teach specifically at risk students because, that's my environment. That's where I come from. I grew up same type of background, and I was a difficult student, challenging, just like the ones I was teaching for 15 years. So yeah,
now
that's always, huh?
when you say difficult, you saying always getting in trouble. You was in trouble and things like that, or other, like other ways in difficult.
I mean, I was suspended from school a lot, but I
Okay.
I, I think it wasn't when the reason why I was suspended, because I was
Hmm.
so outspoken, and I was like a young adult, like in the mind, because
Hmm.
my parents raised me to be an independent thinker. They had a bookstore, and I was reading things like Miseducation of a Negro when I was like 8 or 9 years old. So I was by far intellectually, far more advanced than my peer group. And they taught me how to, subtract, multiply, divide. I was a cashier when I was the age of 6, doing like point of sale transactions and everything. And so when you take that, somebody that has that skill set, and then you sit them into a regular classroom with kids who are their same age, but they're learning skills that you already know, you feel like you're remediated, so you get yourself in trouble type thing. So yeah, so
Yeah,
that
so
that that yeah.
I was gonna say, so it sheds light to what you were saying. So you come from a place of understanding, and you were able to relate with them in a way that
Hmm.
kind of the teachers when you were growing up necessarily weren't able to do for you.
Yeah, because normally your kids that are distractions in class are your smartest kids. They're if they're not the smartest, they're the most talented. And I still see it to this day. Like the youth is the progressive movement. Like everything that we talking about. Like I'll use like Young Thug as an example, right? Obviously, that was like the new wave of the rapper that was coming through at the time when Young Thug first came out. And he had the tight pants, and all everybody thought he was gay because he was rocking the purse, and everybody thought his raps was trash. No, I'm not even gonna lie with you. I mess with Young Thug's music. You see what I'm
Oh,
saying?
me
But
too. I'm right
yeah,
here
but
with you.
it took me a while to catch on because I was still I'm still the old school Jay-Z. It took me a while to catch on to the new Lil Wayne. I'm 40, so
Mhm.
it took me about a year or two to say, okay, this really is the wave. But like the youth, if that's their wave now, you got to realize it's a youth movement. Like eventually we're gonna catch up. And so when you have like those type of kids who are in your class or you're around them, you got to listen to them. You can't just block them out because you don't understand them. Like you got to come to the reason. You have to actually understand, okay, why are they doing this? What's the reasoning behind it? You know, how can we make this productive, or what's the solution? You don't just look at something like it's a problem.
And before we transition to the officiating thing, is teaching still a part of your life? Is this something that's major in terms of like a daily thing or a semester wise? I'm not sure if you're doing I'm not sure if you're doing like high school, college, or even elementary, but is this something that's still prevalent today?
I mean, well, I taught all the way up until this past April. I recently
Okay.
resigned. That was my last time teaching.
Okay.
But, I run my own nonprofit now. So for
Mhm.
me, community engagement and being able to give back and dealing with the youth is always at the forefront. That's even a higher platform for me than working in the National Football League. It's just that the National Football League has given me a platform for my voice to be heard in more locations as opposed to just being heard in my own classroom or my own school or my own district. So, they work hand in hand now. And, I won't be satisfied until I'm just as popular for being a philanthropist, for being a leader in my community as I am, being on the field for the National Football League.
Now, as we transition to the officiating side,
Yeah.
what point did you realize that this was a possibility for you? What made you get into the officiating and say, you know what, Maya, I think that I can go I can go pretty far with this side.
So I got into it as just a hobby at first, just like, all right, I can do this, proving some people wrong that I can officiate. And I would say once I started working Division 1 football, which was after I'd worked high school football for 3 years and I worked the state championship. And then from there, I worked another year and then I started working Division 1 football straight out of high school. And that was because my supervisor who hired me at the time, he saw the way that all the other men looked at me when I went to like this seminar, like this clinic, and I was the only black and I was the only woman that was in the room, and no one wanted to talk to me because of that. But he took me under his wing, and he saw that, and he said, if you would only be working Division 2 or Division 3 football, you'd never make it to Division 1 because these people wouldn't give you a chance. And that was back in 2011. And so when I started working with him, he'd officiated in the NFL for 27 years, worked a couple Super Bowls, I think about 3 or 4. You know, you really start to realize who's actually in your circle and how many connections he has. And the people who he put in place to mentor me and to train me were all NFL officials. I'm like, this is serious. I could really make it to the league. And so that's when the light bulb hit when I started working major college football.
Now, I'm glad that you actually brought that part up because the racial side because I'll share something on my side as well. I do
Mhm.
write. I'm a writer, a sports journalist. I cover the Commanders. And when I first started out, I was getting opportunities to go to the training camps and things like that, and report on the team. And to what you're saying, like when I was at training camps, I mean, COVID changed everything, so I haven't been able to do that in 2 years. But when I was there, I'm the only black person in the room, and by the grace of God, like one of the first people that I reached out to, he decided to help me and mentor me in the space. But to your point, when he even tried to get me jobs at training camp, the people that he had to go through was the same color as him. And I'm sitting here like, I mean, I appreciate you, but I already know what's about to happen. I know what's about to happen. Like these people aren't necessarily going to give me a chance. They don't know me. My resume, but they don't know me. And on the same vein, like I didn't go that traditional journalist route. Like it was a hobby, and I happened to be pretty good at it. To your point and what you were saying, how many encounters did you come across, like trying to navigate as a black woman in the officiating space? Was it that one moment, or was there some other things that kind of shared some insight on kind of the difficulty it may be if you didn't get that help?
I don't have enough appendages to count how many encounters I've had. But here's the thing about it though. It's like they normally come in the form of like micro inequities.
Mm-hmm.
And when these people, they take shots at you and they want to seem like they're not taking shots. So it's like, and this is part of me growing up like in the hood and being able, everybody plays the Jones and we roast and we get on each other, developing that thick skin there and knowing how, knowing what's a joke and knowing what's serious and knowing how to joke back, So they used to get on me all the time, like about like my ponytails and, about my weave and, stuff like that. They used to try to make jokes like, how come your hair is different each week? And I would tell them, well, that's because I change it up the same way Kim Kardashian changes hers. Matter of fact, why don't you pick which hair texture you want me to wear next week? I'll do stuff like that, which I knew that was them taking shots, their way of them taking a shot. But I flipped it around and turned it into something that was productive. And by me doing it that way, as opposed to complaining, or singling somebody out or bashing them, like playing along with the boys club, that actually earned me more respect to let them know, okay, I have thick skin. I can take a joke, even though I'm gonna be frank with you. Like if you look at it now, like, yes, that joke is inappropriate. Like it's very offensive if it's told to the wrong person, so by no way is that even fair. But, that's just a part of, being able to break that barrier and to go through. When you're the first one that goes through, you're going to receive a lot of pushback, but you're going to have to learn how to navigate through that pushback. So that they don't do it like once I'm here and I'm successful and now everybody hears my side, it's no longer my word against theirs. It's really valid. That causes them to adjust because a lot of these people, sometimes they're not even aware that they're doing it. We even do it all the time. As black folks, we do it to ourselves and we're not even aware that we're doing it. So we can't just, get offended every single time. We have to learn how to adapt, adjust, and educate through the process.
Now, one thing that is always important, especially when you go through trials and tribulations such as this, sometimes is your close circle, the support that you have from your friends and family and things like that. And what was that support system looking like for you? Did you have people that was all in 110% in terms of like, this is what I want to do. I want to become an officiator and things like that. How was that support system for you?
From friends and family. Well, from family, it was very little because I live in Virginia and the rest of my family lives everywhere else. I'm the only person in my family who lives in my city. So it's like for them, I don't really tell them much about what's going on. I didn't even tell them I was getting hired. They found out by watching the Today Show with
Oh
everybody
man.
else.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but for me, I find that's easier because then I'm able to navigate. And then I really leaned a lot like on people who were officials who became my mentors and those people become friends. And, because referee life is so much different. I hate this, say civilian and referee life, but it is like when you're official, your lifestyle is completely different and nobody really understands the lifestyle you're going through than other officials do. And so it's real important that you find a community of officials that you can trust. And a lot of my community consisted of a lot of basketball officials, not even football officials. Like some of my best friends are two ladies that work in high level basketball. because we understand our lifestyle. And I think it's real important that you surround yourself with people who are like minded and who are goal oriented, just like you are. So even if they're not pushing you specifically in your field, you are still pushing each other to make sure everybody's as successful as they can be.
In terms of the officiating side, I think there's some people don't necessarily know what every officiating person goes through, whether it's the training side and training and development side, or even on game day itself. Maya, when you entered the officiating development program, what was that training course and developing course? What did it look like for people who are thinking that this could be a lane that I'm in, especially the younger people who are trying to navigate through the different courses of actual football?
So when they select you to be a part of the NFL program, the first thing they do is they allow you to start attending all the regular meetings that NFL officials attend, like the study groups, the clinics, everything that we do to prepare. And so that just brings you all the way into the culture and lets you understand this is exactly what you're getting yourself into. Are you ready for this? And so that's the first thing. So we go through the meetings, the study groups, we take the same test that the on-field officials take. It's just graded a little bit different. When you're in development, you're allowed to use your book, or they don't grade it at all. They make you take it and then they go over the answers with you. So that builds your confidence to let you know that, hey, okay, I'm on the right page. And then from there, you're assigned to like go to OTAs or mini camps. You're assigned to go to training camps where you'll spend like a week with the team, and that helps you adjust and adapt to the rules of the NFL, and also be able to not just look and read a rule, but to apply it, on the field. It lets you be able to talk to coaches, talk to players, so you can establish that rapport. And then you work preseason games. You work a preseason game in the season, and then you drop all that and you go back and you work your regular college football season. And then at the end of your college football season, you work like an all-star game, like a Senior Bowl or East-West Shrine game. So those are the players who are seniors and they're preparing to be drafted. And so those are all the steps that you take. But really what they're looking at to try to make sure that you're growing and you're progressing like each year throughout the program.
And obviously, 2014 was what, 8 years ago. I'm not really that good at math, but I got it right on the first try. So congratulations to me. But 8 years ago, when you went through these different phases of the development program, uh, at I would say, well, actually, I'll just ask you because I don't know at what point in 2021 did you get the call that you were going to go ahead and start doing the regular season games.
Yeah, so I mean, I started 2014. I went 4 seasons straight.
Mm-hmm.
14, 15, 16, 17, 2018. They actually rolled me out of the program. So I was inactive for 2 years. And that was discouraging because I was always told, all right, I'm up next. I'm the next one up. They need another woman. And I
Oh,
thought it was
sad.
going to be me. Yeah. And then they rolled me out for like 2 years. And I'm thinking, all right, the NFL don't want me. So I started working basketball and I became nice at that. But that's another story. So I really was not expecting to be hired in 2021. So after I got rolled out, never had an assignment. I got called back to work the East West Shrine game like in 2020, and I
Mm-hmm.
killed it in 2020. And then I didn't hear anything else from them. I went back, I finished working my season. I just thought they got another look at me. I got a call that says, hey, we're bringing you back into the program. And that was 2020, 2021 season.
Mm-hmm.
So they brought me back into the program. I started working in the Pac 12 full time. COVID hit, and then I only worked 4 Pac-12 games. So a football season where I'm used to working about 16 games, I only worked 4. And then they called me up to work the Senior Bowl, and so I worked the Senior Bowl again, which I didn't think was a big deal because I've already worked the Senior Bowl in 2015, 2016, 2017, worked the Shrine game. I've already worked all these games and I've never been hired. So I'm just thinking they're just calling me and bringing me back in the mix. So what going into the Senior Bowl, it was just going through my mind like, look, this is gonna be the line to meet the it. This is it for me. I'm not gonna keep jumping on this train and jumping off. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna work this game the best way I possibly can, and I'm just gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna hang it up. That really was my attitude. So
Mm-hmm.
I go into Senior Bowl week. I had a great week at practice. I had a great performance in the game. And I was content with that because I got the respect of my other officials. They were like, You're not just the best woman official here, you're the best official here. And you're doing well when you get
Yeah,
props
that's
from, your colleagues. But I was like, man, I'm cool. I'm not even worried about it. They're not about to hire me. They're not ready for me. And then so when I got the phone call that said that they were bringing me in, I was like, man, you got to be kidding me. I'm not, I just really was not expecting it, because I have been back and forth and
it's when
in and
you least
out. And
expect it too. All the work you put in,
yeah,
you put
like,
everything out there. If y'all ready, and it sounded like they was ready.
yeah, I mean, like, at that point, I was just like, I was no longer trying to play the game to get in. You know how everybody tries to find exactly what you can do to execute. Everybody tries to find out what the secret formula is. The minute where I just stopped worrying about it and I just went in totally relaxed and I went in just being 100% myself, that's when everything just opened up. You know,
Hey,
they even made a
so
special hat for me so I could wear my ponytail out in the back. So I should have knew that I was
look,
coming in then when they made the special hat. But
I about to, there you go. So look, the floor is yours, and the fans of teams are listening. Maya, if there was one thing you ever wanted to say back about a misconception or just an angry fan, what are you telling them? Because I know referees get a hard time. Like I complain about 6, 7 times out of a season
yeah.
about the refs being a certain type of way. What do you have to say about the fans who are always yelling at you, and they're just dead wrong about something that y'all got to say? I mean that y'all call on the field.
First of all, they can be dead wrong as much as they want to. They don't sign my paycheck, so or give me assignments, so I'm good with that. But no, but seriously though, like, listen, they have to understand this. We get one shot to make a call. We get one camera angle, and we got to make a decision. And those athletes are fast. Things happen in the game, and on top of that, we're human. A lot of times people, they get to sit back and they can watch the replay, they can watch this, they can watch that, or they don't even understand the philosophies. I just would like them to understand, why don't you take time to actually learn it? Because I got into this because I used to heckle officials too because they were bad. But then once I really found out what it took to be successful and to be good at it, I took it serious. And just watch the way that you criticize people sometime, because you wouldn't want somebody to criticize you about something on your job. We might miss one call, but we might get 2,000 calls correct in the season. But that
Mm-hmm.
one call that we miss on that one day, right? That defines us. You think that defines us as being a horrible official, and that's the furthest from the truth. Those ones who are on those big stages or on those primetime games, they earn it because they've had consistently great performances. And everybody's going to make a mistake in their life. Everybody is. So just be mindful.
One last thing, um, and I should have asked this beforehand, but in terms of and this doesn't have to be a long thing. I know we want to get you out of here. The preparation for referees throughout a week. I just wanted to share some insight to that. Like what is it that refs go through from Monday to Saturday to prepare for a game on Sunday?
Yeah, so it's crazy. So most of us have other careers too. Like I taught my whole first year of in the NFL, and other people are doctors, lawyers, firefighters, whatever it is, first responders. So you got to realize we also have other careers, other servant professions that we're doing. So once our game wraps up on a Sunday, we do have to do a file report, and we have to complete penalty reports. So there's paperwork that's done after that. So all those calls that you see that we make on the field, we're graded on all that stuff. So we have to actually document and write why we threw a flag and write why we didn't throw a flag. So there's all the kinds of paperwork we have to do. So once you finish that, you submit that in. You have to make sure that you watch your game film and you do a self-assessment. So you have to watch your entire game. And I like to get that done on the way home on a Sunday, or, by the end of Monday night, sometime between that time. If I've gone into Tuesday, that means I'm either falling behind because of work on Monday, or I just haven't had the time to really sit down. But I like to get my game completely done by Monday.
Mm-hmm.
We're graded on that game. We'll get our grade and our feedback from the graders like on a Wednesday. And then you have to go back in and look at their comments, compare it to the notes that you have. And then once that's done, now the next day, Thursday, you start looking at the two teams that you have to work the following weekend. And now you have to start scouting their tendencies and what it is that they do and things that you have to look out for, because players are very crafty. And so you have to understand your personnel.
Uh,
You got to understand who pushes off where, what route they run, who's pushing off at the top of the fade, what DBs like to clamp down on the inside arm, the slight jersey tuck. Like there's a lot of
love this
things that
talk.
these
Love it.
players do, yeah, that we have to be alert for. And then you have to look at the ones who flop and sell the calls. And so, but that's all a part of preparation. So once you do all your notes, that's done like on a Thursday, Friday. You fly out Saturday, and now you're ready for your game Sunday. So be prepared to spend about each day, on average, about 2 hours a day, 2 to 3 hours a day on work. During the work week in order to lead up for a Sunday.
This was amazing. I truly appreciate you checking in and spending some time with the Trap or Die podcast. I want to give you the floor now to let people know what you got going on, anything that you want to plug in, promote. You do have a nonprofit. If you want to share that, the floor is yours as well. Again, I appreciate you checking in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a nonprofit now that just recently launched. Our website is makemeaningfulchange.org. And, we abbreviate as MMC, which is also a play off my initials. But we are a 501c3, and we are pretty much an all-encompass community engagement organization. And so what that means is we like to put on events that bring the youth out, but not only just bring the youth out, but bring in like community leaders, other people with other professions, and just starting to reestablish those relationships, that were lost like over COVID, or just bringing back, that whole sense of like it takes a village really to raise someone. So by me bringing those professionals in and exposing them, to middle school age kids, to high school age kids, it's going to normalize that your community heroes and the people who are these everyday people that walk around every single day. These are your celebrities. These are the people that you want to look up to. Not taking anything away from athletes or anything like that, because they're amazing, but just really getting here and getting to know people who make an honest living every single day. Like even somebody who may work multiple jobs, if they go and they work a day job, but they have a hobby that they love to do, like outside of work, whether, they have their own podcast or they customize sneakers or something. It's just getting these people involved in the community and not just going back in the house and hiding. So makemeaningfulchange.org. Check us out. Feel free to donate if you like, but we got some cool events coming up. So
Down, set, hut, watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.